Hello guys, this is Invader Bugums. Sorry if my voice is a bit wonky, using a bit of a new mic, and also I've got a bit of a cold, so if I don't sound great, sorry. Um, I'm doing a red line. Red line is when you take somebody's picture, somebody who wants your help, and you go ahead and make some corrections to their picture and show them where they need to improve. This is for Yukai Dragon. Yukai, which is written right there, but I don't know if you can read his curvy writing. Dragon. But he's from DeviantArt. He's a friend of mine, and he wanted me to. Well, I asked him if he wanted me to do a redline for him because he asks me for help sometimes, and I wanted to give him some assistance. And so, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and try and help him out. So this picture is very big. Let me go to 100%, and as you can see, it's very big. That's a very good thing. It's mostly because it's a picture that he drew in real life and he scanned it. So usually your computer scanner will make the size bigger of the picture that you scan. It like multiplies it by I forget how much, but it makes it really huge on your computer screen. So yeah. That's because you can do more detail work on the computer if you do that, like on the picture. So let's get to work here. Nope, is this the right layer? Yes, it is. Why is my brush so faint? Anyway, here we go. And I understand that this is stylistic, so I'm gonna try and stick to your style, Yukai. I'm not gonna try and switch it around. I'm gonna try and just use your style to make your own style better. I don't know. That sounds just about right, actually. So, here we go. And it looks like this would be the area where the nose would go if you drew noses. And that you don't, you know, that's kind of thing. What I notice here is that the skull seems to go around like this, but then it seems to kind of taper off in a weird way, like that, instead of doing this. So, hmm. So that's that. His head also seems to be tilted slightly. Uh, so there's that also. Huh. His head looks tilted to the side a bit. Okay. It looks a bit like our eye level would be like here-ish, and we'd be looking up maybe, or maybe we'd be all the way down here with a slight upward tilt, but not too strong. It's kind of his body looks like it's tilted back somehow. So I think it's because his hips are so big. Because one of the things with women is that their shoulders are about as they're about equal with hips, and his hips are even a bit bigger than his shoulders. So that's very unusual in a guy. It's fine, but I know it's stylistic, but for future reference, you should draw your girls with hips this big, and maybe with your guys, you could shrink down the hips a bit, but still have them be big for guys. So slightly smaller than shoulders, like the shoulders are this long and the hips are only this long, but still, you would have some pretty big hips for a guy if you did that. So there's that. And so we'll go. Sorry, I keep making sound effects. I've had a lot of art classes lately, and that makes me get pretty wonky. So here would be the eye socket, I would assume, because that's where the eyebrow is. So that would be where the eye socket would be at. And here also would be an eye, but it appears to be hidden. Huh. The way you've got it drawn is his head's kind of tilted in a weird way, like his skull doesn't match up right with the lower, like this circular part of his head doesn't quite match up with his chin. Kind of, his chin would be doing this. So I guess his chin could be tilted that way a bit, but it doesn't make sense to my mind, because his eyes kind of like that. So his other eye would be here, but that just doesn't click right. So I don't know, man. We're just gonna erase. Oh, then here's his mouth, but he's smiling, of course. But just kind of try and mark it off in the bottom of the eye and top of the eye. And then here's where the eyebrows would be. So well, we're gonna have to take this to. We're gonna go over it, and we're gonna go in with white, and we're gonna set to. No, let's see here. Set density to 50. Make our brush big. And then we're gonna turn down the opacity so we can see that slightly, but not too strongly. And there we go. So that's what we've got so far. Okay, so what we see of the face. Let's turn on the opacity of this layer too. What we see here. Oh wait, that's not equal either. Okay, here and sorry. I'm not, like I said earlier, I'm not feeling so great. I hope making sound effects isn't freaking my mic out or whatever. But so up here, what we would see is this much of his face. Because what I was saying kind of is his head could be tilted to look slightly in that direction, but also looks kind of tilted like sideways in a way that doesn't click right, is what I was trying to say earlier, but I couldn't put it into words right. Like that could work, but I don't know. I've always seen your style as trying to have the people look straight on. So I don't know. I'm drawing him like he's looking straight on. If that's wrong, you can correct me. So here would be his chin. And I know you don't draw noses. That's one of the things you don't do. But with a cute little style like yours, you could just draw like a little nose here, boop, and have that be like really cute. I think. Another thing you could do is do that. But I think the first idea looked really pretty cute. And it's not hard, it's just two lines, and you go for basically the center line of the face. Not the center, based on your style, but center of the exposed face, kinda. I think I may have made his chin a bit too big, but we'll live with it for now. Correct me if I am messing things up. One thing is that you wouldn't see his eye through his hair, but that's fine. I'll let you get by with that. You wouldn't see his eyebrow either. But then if you couldn't see his eyebrow, then you wouldn't be able to tell his expression quite so well. And you don't draw eyelids, but I mean, I'm gonna add a little one. Okay, so he seems to have cat-like eyes, which are kind of roundish, and then on the inside you have the little sort of cat shape, but isn't he supposed to be like part dragon? So I guess it would be dragon eye. But dragon eyes are kind of like lizard eyes, which are kind of like cat eyes, so that's close enough. Methinks. And then we would have his little smirk, which is a little bit too much to one side of his face, but that's cool. And then you'd have a little fang. Which I don't know if you'd add the little dimple over here, as I would call it. Makes him look so chubby and cute though. Um, Again, a lot of this is your style, which is different from mine. So I'm trying to stick close to your style, but I don't know how great of a job I am doing. So there we go. And my brother is making noises beside me. Silly little goose. And so your eyebrow wouldn't arch quite like that. That's not quite how your eyebrow works. Because your eyebrow isn't completely separate from your face. So it would be more like this because your eyebrows are kind of attached to, like, they're on top of an area with muscle, which is how you get the wrinkled eyebrow, kind of the wrinkle in between the eyebrows that shows frustration or like yeah, basically frustration or anger. That's because your facial muscles are squishing together like a butt, yeah. So the muscle would be kind of like here-ish, methinks, to make that sort of butt shape. So, shush, little bro. So it's not like he can just do this thing when his facial muscle is not meant to. Like, it doesn't. Your eyebrows are kind of along the socket of your eye here, and so your muscle is also around that area. It's not across the eye socket. It doesn't cut it off. The eye socket is a separate circle, which that kind of it's hard to explain. So you wouldn't have it do that sort of arch thing, because that goes way too far up for it to be in the circle of the eye. That would be an oddly shaped eye. One sec. So there's that, which I hope I've explained well enough. So you'd have it kind of doing this, his eyebrow, and here we go. You'd have a kind of like a little wrinkle here from where the eyebrows would be drawing together towards that sort of butt shape. That way they would get if his eyebrows were closer together. Like, it's edging towards that, but it's not quite there, I think. So you would have that, though. I remember this is stylistic, this is stylistic. So you have your own thing that you do. So the reason that I shaped his eye like this is because with the eye you have currently, what would be going on here is this would be the eye socket, right? So that would extend a little bit beyond, so I guess it would be a little bit bigger. Whoop. Thing is, you'd have his lower lid going up kind of like that, which is, when your lower lid goes up, it goes kind of like that. Sorry, all along the eye, kinda. It doesn't do this, and plus, usually, your lower lid doesn't do that. Like, if you were really, really smiling, when you really, really smile, your lower lid of your eye squishes upward, and that's how you can tell it's a real smile. But from what I can tell, he's smirking cutely at the viewer, and so you wouldn't get that. You wouldn't get the lower lid going up, and you would not, most definitely not, get it going up at that angle. Maybe you're going for an Asian style, which I can completely understand, and that would probably make more sense, but this is also kind of Asian in style, but also follows along the eye socket in a way that shows that his lower lid is not squished up when it shouldn't be. So there you go. And we're gonna go on this layer above and turn this layer off, maybe? No, we're gonna leave that on. Go up here, and we're gonna take this, and we're gonna do his hair, which your hairline wouldn't be this low. Usually not even in anime school. Like, your hairline would be kind of like around here-ish. He looks like he has a part, so it would be like that. Like this part here. So, sorry about that again. So, his hair would kind of do this thing. and it would be doing that. And then with the hair from not in front of his face, just gonna play around with his hair, make it more strand-like instead of like a solid mass over his face that goes like that. That's another thing you should do. It really improves the look, I think. I really think it does. So you should do that and stuff. So let's erase this a bit. So your hairline, it shows like where your part is, and then here's the point at which hair starts to fall down. Is kind of what I was trying to show here. And it looks like his hair does a weird little thing here where it goes like, and there are no like strandy things. I'm gonna do that. I don't think hair would necessarily do that. So there you go. So I'm gonna do with his hair up here. Then I'm gonna have it go like that, and then go around, and then go here, and do a little curly on his face. And I'm assuming, like, I know his ears are up here, so he probably doesn't like have humanoid ears down hiding here under his hair. I would assume if he has these ears up here, so he probably would not need the human ear to distract him from his more legitimate hearing. Excuse me, I'm gonna take a drink here. Okay, so I'm going to assume he does not have an ear there. And that his skull is just kind of smooth, with the skin stretched over where the ear would originally have been. So we'll go with that. And the reason I'm leaving this layer on is so I can tell exactly where the hair on top of his head goes. Now, his hair would not be directly on top of his skull. Like, because this is what I would assume his skull shape would be like, is this round bit up here. That's what it looks like to me with this kind of style. That's kind of what his skull I would assume to be. Thing is, hair does not sit directly on your skull. Hair goes over your skull. It doesn't sit on the round top part of your head. No, your hair goes poof, 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 poof. I'm crazy. Let me undo that. Yep. So that's another thing, is that his hair would not sit directly on his skull. It would kind of do its own thing. Also. So the reason I'm leaving this on is so I can tell exactly where his skull is, and then from on top of it I can add the hair that needs to be added up at the top, and make it go kind of more around and on top of his skull rather than flat on it, like it would be if his hair were really, really wet. It'd be like right on top of his skull. I really hope that making sound effect noises does not screw around with my mic. Never know sometimes. Like, yeah, you really never know. But let's continue. So his hair would be on top of his skull, like sprouting from his skull here, you know. And so there's that. And we're gonna do this a bit, like to show that the strands are kind of moving away. You don't have to do this. I think that if you did the outside lines and you did them well. I don't know how spiky his hair is, but at the bottom it seems to go. So I'm gonna call it marginally spiky, but not super spiky. So we'll have the little spikes up here and have that going, and get some of his hair down here, and looks like a little strand going off here. So we'll do that, and we'll say what I think is going on here is that his hair is running in front here. Now what we need to do before we continue here, after I get this done, is we're going to need to figure out what his body is doing so we can move on. So I'm going to add a layer set and call that head hair. So we'll do that. Put these all in here. and close it off and take it. Well, might not take it off, might leave it. So there's this as compared to original. So I hope I am not straying from your style too much. I apologize if I am. I'm trying really hard not to. One thing I did forget here is that he has this cute little marking on his face. So I would thin that out a little bit and then widen it at the bottom, kind of to encompass his chin a bit, but then just shrink up once it gets towards his eye, so it's not so straight on, like straight lines and like sloping out there. So there you go. Remember, you can feel free to tell me if I'm doing something wrong in the comments, or just, if you want to send me a private notice, I don't care. So from here, I'm gonna turn that off for now. Actually, no. We're gonna turn this layer set on 50%. So here would be where his neck would come from. And you seem to like the thin neck look, so I'm not gonna screw around with that. Here there's some muscles that wrap around, and then you've got the collarbone here. I'm not sure if you care about that, but a collarbone can sometimes make your character look more attractive, almost. Just a thought. Because you seem to like to make your characters appealing, attractive. So, my brother's talking still. Oh, he's playing Team Fortress 2. So, no, it's not. Anyway, you have some muscles going here. I'm not sure how much you're trying to stick directly to actual anatomy. Remember, I'm trying to stick to your style. I'm not doing perfect anatomy because I'm not expecting you to want that exactly. So here would be muscle going into his arm. I'm trying to fix it up a little bit to try and show you how to fix some things. And here would be his rib cage, I would assume. Rib cage, super cool. And the split would be kind of like this, but that would mean this needs to be more round. Less flat, because your rib cage is kind of shaped like an egg, but you just take the top off. So then we go about here, and that would be where his hips would actually start. And if they go slightly big, then we'll put them here. Which that looks smaller, not smaller. So maybe this would be more accurate. So there you go. And dang boy, you got big hips. I don't actually know how old your character is, so I'm gonna take this down. Assume he's like in his older teens. Call it that, and you have this space where it's your insides all squished up in there, and your rib cage does not hold them in so much as they just stay in because of skin and muscle, like the abs. Those are your muscles here. Like you'd have this, and then you'd have hip bone type thingies, and then you'd have the belly button here, and you'd have some abdominals going on here. Whoop, whoop. Don't know if you want your character to be muscly or not, but there you go. Yeah. So from here you'd have a bit of muscle going on, whoop, 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 and the elbow, and a bit more. And you have this. And you don't show his hands. I don't know if that's because you don't want to, like if you're not good at hands, but I'm going to assume that you don't like drawing hands, but I'm going to try and help you with that. In so much as I can. And from here would be where his legs come from, except they'd be bigger than that, of course. And that would be his crotchy bits. Yeah, he's got alright size hips. Like they're not super big, they're not super small. They're actually pretty good size. I don't know if that's too small or not. Now, one thing here, I can't tell. It looks like he's wearing a skirt here, which is fine by me. And I know you like drawing that kind of stuff. So, thing is, I'm not sure if you've got this down or not, but usually with a guy, they don't stand with their legs pressed together. They stand with their legs apart because of obvious reasons. So just take that for future reference, that a guy does not have his legs pressed together at the upper part because a certain something would get squished. Um, Women are more likely to have their legs more pressed together because they don't have to worry about that. Just a quick bit of advice, just so you know. And here, and we'll do this. So his hand is not super showing. Is that the right? No, his hand. Oh, his arm's behind his body. Okay, I understand that. Then we will take this arm. Whoop, 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 whoop. And first we're gonna take it away from this layer so I don't mess it up. And we'll paste it. And we'll do some more rotation. Which, I don't think your arm... Could your arm go straight behind your back like that? Technically, this is at the same angle as the original arm, just his hips were bigger so he could hide his hand. We're gonna merge that. So, yeah. Which, actually, his arm looks to be a little bit too long. So we're gonna have to freeform that, shrink it up a bit, because your actual hand kind of happens mid-thigh, a little bit above, depending on how long or short your arms are. I have horrendously short arms, but some people have really long arms. I just don't think I think your character would have like normal-sized arms, probably. And there we go. And we're gonna give him an open palm because we can. So a quick little note about hands, going up here. Your hand's a box, and it's attached to a wrist, which is attached to your arm. Ignore my bad doodle drawing. And your finger is kind of like, let me draw a hand here. Whoop, 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 whoop. Your fingers, your thumb is kind of like split like this. That looks bad, but like here it goes, and then it splits like halfway through. Whereas your fingers, it's like 3 sections is your finger, and it goes into your hand with the knuckle and everything. So that's that. So when you draw a hand, there are multiple ways to do it. Maybe some people only do 2 joints. Excuse me, I'm gonna grab another drink. And some people will do all 3. I'm guessing you're the type who likes to do 2 more. But if you like to do all 3, you can talk to me and I'll do something explaining it. But here would be the thumb, and that would be the bigger part if we have the palm here. And so that would be the thumb, and your fingers would come here. And again, we're doing 2 joints instead of the 3 that should be there. And have that go into your hand, and this would be the outside of the hand, and then you've got your wrist, and then you've got your arm. And we're going to do a little bit of erasing right here. Sneak, sneak, sneak. Sneak, 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 sneak. Okay, so yeah, that arm is really not perfect at all. So we're just going to pretend that arm does not exist. Some people don't draw the bone that is in your wrist, simply because it's not a big deal, doesn't really distract that much, doesn't help the pic more than really anything at all. So, I mean, you could choose not to have this little knob there, or you could choose to have it. Because the other thing is your ankle has like little knobs on the sides and things, because that's how it's attached to the rest of your body. But anyway, So we'll go up here and we'll draw his longer finger, middle finger, it's longer, so shoosh. And we'll draw this finger, which is like whoop, whoop. And you've got your pinky finger, which is small or long, depending on who the person is. You've got different fingers. So that would be kind of like a hand. So that's just my quick little tip for drawing a hand, is you can do simple shapes and get the hand, like whoop, whoop. Here I have a circle. Here I have a smaller circle. That's the rest of the thumb. Like that. And then here you have the rest of your hand. And you can even, like I said, black. And then the circle. And then another smaller circle. You can just do equally sized circles for the rest of the fingers. Even though it's not completely accurate, it's kind of close. And then you'd have this here too for your palm. The block should honestly be taller and your fingers should not be located quite there, so it'd be more like here. So that's kind of some advice on hands for you. So there's that hand up there. And later I can go more in depth if you want me to, or I can just, shut my mouth about how to draw fingers. Yeah. So there we go. And we're gonna go on another layer. Oh yeah, more layers. Just what you always wanted. And we're gonna go ahead and draw this body out more neatly. Whoop. Except let me not do that. Here we go. Actually, we're gonna go with a different color. We're gonna go with purple, so I get less confused. And then we have the shoulders. Doo-doo. Whoop. And this little deal here. Men boobs are different for every man, but in general I would draw them kind of like on the upper part of the chest, mostly. Really depends on how fit the guy is. I'm assuming that this guy is fit like a sports person, seeing as he's part dragon, so it must be like sort of muscular, but not super muscular because he's feminine. And maybe when he gets older, he can be super muscly dragon man. So there we go. That's how this goes. Because I know right now you call him Dragon Boy. So boy. Anyway, so and I'm not gonna draw little man nipples. I think that's weird. Maybe that's because I'm weird. No, totally not. Anyway, so here we go, continuing on, and we have a little arch here where the rib cage ends. His belly, his cute little belly button, the muscles. Could do some really slight muscles. Like, I'm not gonna give him like a super obvious six pack, just kind of like small indication that it is indeed there. So I'm trying to stick to your kind of way of drawing things, but I shortened up his body somewhat because it looked too long to me, even for like a teenager. Some people do have long bodies. I just don't think this particular character does. Excuse me if I'm making assumptions that are incorrect, but I just don't see him being like with a super long stomach instead of just average size. So I'm giving him more average proportions, maybe a little bit. I'm actually drawing him a little bit long for normal proportions, I think, depending on how old he is. I assume he's either upper teens or younger teens. I can never quite tell. Your style seems to draw people like really, really cute and young looking. And since the palm of his hand is showing here, I'm gonna say that his arm is facing forward, and so there's a muscle here and there, and you get the little crease right there where the muscles kind of do their thing, where they're like, "Hey, bro, let's do that muscly thing." Bleh. So there you go. And we're gonna draw a palm of his hand here. Whoop, whoop. There we go. Here we go. That's what we got going on. Super hand best. No, that's bad. Here. Shit. His hand is confusing me. Okay, so let's take a look. See here. Dupe and a smaller circle. Okay. Sorry, I keep having to take breaks to kind of like cough at you guys. We're gonna pretend he has fingers here. There. So there we go. We're gonna call that his hand. And this arm seems to be going off of the screen, which I'm not sure why. It's just like, whoops, here I go. I'm out of the picture. I don't know. Just if one arm's really relaxed, if it's going like kind of straight down, I'm all relaxed and smooth and stuff, and then the other arm's like, I'm going this way. That means that it's just kind of doesn't fit. That's why originally I kind of drew his other arm going out that way, because it kind of looked better with the arm just going straight that way. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that it's okay for his arm to be going out there, but for future reference, your arm probably wouldn't be going like. Imagine you're standing out in the park, or anywhere really. You're standing there and you've got one arm down and your other arm's kind of going this way, like tilted at that angle. Kind of like, why are you walking around with your arm tilted that way? It's kind of really weird. Not super weird, but it's like, it sounds uncomfortable to me. So you might think about that. Maybe have his arm down next time, hide both of the hands if you want to, but hide them both behind the hips, make the arms in similar positions, or if he's really excited, he can have both arms in different positions, like one like in a fist, at his chest, like, rah, I'm super excited, and then one arm going on up here, like, yeah. But when your character seems to be in a really cute, relaxed pose, he's happy, he's relaxed, one arm shouldn't just randomly be going out to the side unless he's grabbing something. Okay, so, wait a second, doesn't your character have a tail? I don't know, maybe he doesn't, maybe it's relaxed, hiding behind his butt. Stupid tail, stop hiding. And this arm's a little bit long too, so I'm gonna have to fix that. Well, we'll pretend that this is, like I shortened it a little bit, so. So, there we go. Yeah, he is pretty long, body-wise. In my opinion, you kind of have a split here from the wrist. One sec, I'm gonna grab a drink again because I really need one. God, my throat hurts. Oh, anyway. We're gonna call that his body, as I would assume it would be. Get rid of that layer. Hello, bro. What's up? Okay, so we'll put the body in there. So now that we know where his shoulders are, we can finish drawing his hair. We're gonna take the whole thing and make it 100% again. So yeah, again, now that we know where his body's going, we can get done with his hair. So give me a minute here. Okay. So oh my goodness, I do not like being sick. So I would say some of his hair is going over his shoulder here. And it would kind of not just go like this. You would have to have some sort of like movement. It's falling over his shoulder, so that means it's like kind of the strands would fall slightly apart, kind of like this. Or with some girls I've seen with their hair like this long. Not to say that he's a girl, but he's girly, so I mean I can pretend. Um, so with seeing some of the guys, with people I see people with long hair, and their hair kind of does this thing where it's all poofy and pretty in the back, and it kind of does that little weird thing where it's kind of like whoop, whoop, and then it goes around like this, like where it gets longer and stuff in the back, and some of the strands just fall over the front, and so it just kind of smooths and blends right back in with the hair behind it, which you don't seem to draw it a lot, but there's hair behind the guy behind these frontal areas here. There's hair behind it too, so. And plus, you don't seem to draw the hair in a very natural way of following, as this is. This is a more natural way, instead of just the hair kind of doing sticking to the skull and going just all the way on the shoulders. I've seen some people do that with their hair before, but not too many, mind you. No regular thing. So that's kind of how I would expect his hair to fall instead. So this shoulder seems to be kind of small, kind of facing away, which that tells me that I messed something up on the body that needs to be fixed. So here would be his muscle there. Let me erase the shoulder muscle. Should be kind of down here instead. Kind of, not quite. Kind of more like that. So there you go. So there we go. And he looks like Inuyasha. Oops. Oh well. Cutie. We can give him pretty eyelashes and stars, sparkles, sparkle, sparkle. No, make him all anime. But gotta do this with his hair. Make some of it fall in here, and not all of it, so it's still going off to the side over here, doing its own thing. And there we go. So, oops, I made that shorter than the other side, but it looks kind of like it would be, because it just looks like not as much hair would fall over this shoulder. But let me fix that just for you. So there we go. So you can see it better. Here, put this on top. 100% not visible. Oh wow, he looks different. Oh my goodness. Oh, I shortened his head. Here, let me do this really quick. Here. Okay, so no, it's pretty much at the same level. So looks like his head's shorter, probably because I made it more round. Which one thing I need to fix? Lots of little things I do that I need to fix. Need to erase his chin behind his hair and his eyebrows too. You can still tell he's got that confident kind of cute little face on. But you cannot see where the eyebrows go or that other stuff. So there you go. Can move this below. Trash this. Put this on. Visible 50%. Well, 56, but close enough. So there we go. That's for his body and hair, and we'll just kind of finish up the rest as we go along here. I really like how you did his horns. They're really, really cute, and they seem to go to his skull in a way that they would, like the skin, like kind of like this, which I thought was really, really cool, really cute. Fits well. This would be a little bit lower and to the side though. It's kind of funny. Wouldn't his horns be kind of intersecting his part here? I guess that doesn't matter, but it seems like it should be. Sorry. Seems like it would be kind of lower on this side and going like this, but trying to keep that same basic form you've got there because it's so cute. Good. And we'll put some lines in here. Wait a minute. depending on where our eyes are seeing, like if we're seeing from down here, his horns, the top, like the sort of creases would be more round. Which actually, give me a second. I'm gonna save this. We're gonna save it as psi instead, so I can keep all these layers. So his horns will be kind of doing this instead of going so much like downward, because that would require us to be above, depending on how his horns are, I guess. But yeah, just by the way, we're gonna get another layer. What a big surprise! And we're gonna go up here and draw his ears, which seem to be pierced. Now, one thing is, I think if you had a more animal ear, and if you're trying to do more like human-like piercing, you'd have it being going around like a ring, like going to the inside part of the ear, like a human ear. Shoot, and then here's a little cartilage area, and here, whoop. If you have an earring up here, it goes through the inner part of your ear and comes out through the side. So it wouldn't just be like, oh, I have like a tiny little punching there, because that'd be pretty easy, I think, to rip right out of your ear. Which I don't think he'd like that. So keep that in mind too. And his ear is here, and his other ear is down here. So that's something a bit crazy. So are his ears kind of on the back of his head, or are they behind just his horns? Is a question I have here. I think they're behind his horns, and they also look like they're on the back of his head, which is not incorrect. I think it's fine. So there's that. So we're gonna draw his ears back here. Now what I'm thinking is, this is the back of his skull, mind you. And here's his neck, and here's his chin. So bad drawing. We're gonna say like his horns are up on the front of his head, but his ears start back here and like in his hair and stuff, and they just kind of pop up here. Long ears. And I was thinking it'd be cool if whenever he's alarmed or upset, his ears could kind of go back on the back of his skull, so you would see them kind of flattened against his head here. I thought that would be like a really interesting idea. If you ever want to draw him stressed out, you could put his ears down, because that's a sign of stress in animals, is when they move their ears. And seeing as he's part dragon, I mean, he's not a totally like complete animal, but he's got some of that blood in him, and yeah. And here we go. And we're gonna draw his earrings going through here. And usually earrings are not so solid and blocky, not unless they're meant to be primitive, which I have nothing against again. And I think he could probably have a little piercing, but not like something that goes over like on the outside part of his ear, which would be so easy to rip off of his ear and rip out a little piece of it. This would be harder to rip out. It'd be like a little stud in there in his ear, you know, on the outer edge. I mean, like the earlobe of a person would, like, you can do that and it's fine. So I would call that alright. But not the rings just on the edge, because you get caught on something, like get caught on the couch, put your head up, rip it right out of your ear. But anyway, now we're gonna have to move this up here so I can get a good look at that outfit. Okay. We're gonna switch this to 100% for just a moment. Looks like he's wearing something like a little tank top. Except I'm doing this on the wrong layer, so I'm gonna make another one. No, we'll do it here. So, got a little tank top on here, and it's got a cute little zipper. I'm not sure what these creases are. Are they pockets? Or are they his moves? So his moves are really, really high up. Does not make sense, but it's okay. And then, oh, YTD, Yukai the dragon? Methinks? So, got a little belt on here, got the little buckles. I think kind of snakeskin material. Bricks? My little brother says they're bricks. Okay, so why? Brick belt. So I don't know what these stripies are. Are they panties? Oh, I'm sorry. And that looks like a button, and then just random. Oh, it's sewed there. It's sewed across there, and there's a button. So is that part of the skirt, or if so, we're gonna draw it out here. And the way I would carry out this skirt, if it's a skirt, I think it's a skirt. I think it looks sort of like jean material or something. Is it would go like this, and then it would have the cute little button. We'll say it goes like this. Like it's a cute little decoration button that's all cute and adorable, and then you have the little stitchings. So we're gonna call that good. I'm gonna switch this on 50%, and we're gonna drop up here. Now, where is our eye level here? Huh, I screwed up his horns, didn't I? Yes, I think I did. I was not supposed to. Maybe go more like this. Depending on where our eye level is. See, this is the problem, is I'm getting a bit of a weird reading from where our eyes are. Where we're looking at him. Because, like, problem is, like, we would be seeing it from below, so the curves of his horns would go like that and not downward. Sorry for that mistake. So, the way it looks like in the original pictures that we're looking down on him with the perspective of the horns and things. And with this looks like we're looking down, but that doesn't, his face was not in the right position for that to be a thing. So I'm gonna say that our eye level is like here-ish, kinda. So you would definitely see this going down, but you would see the horns kinda doing that upward curve. And down below the eye level would be the downward curve. So there's that. Oh. So there would be that, and I'm not sure if there would be a split here or not, depending on the shirt. Usually they have a little bit of a split here where the zipper kind of ends, cloth rounds off, and don't know how comfortable he'd be with the shirt right up on his collarbone. I know I don't really like that. It feels like you're getting strangled. So we're gonna put that a little bit lower, expose that collarbone of sexiness. Yeah. Anyway. Erase the body that's underneath the hair. It doesn't make sense. There we go. And we'll go back up here and continue drawing. 2013. And we can see a little bit of wrinkling here, but it looks like it's pretty tight. So I would say too much. Depends on what kind of fabric he's got on, But then depending on how tight it is, you can see kind of his muscles. Manly muscles. No, they're not that manly. Anyway, and up here, I want to curve the top of the jacket a bit. Or jacket, it's probably a shirt. Looks like a shirt. Oh dear, where did I actually draw I'm confused. Oh, I really don't know what's going on. But we're gonna call this good. I don't know. Oh, I drew it down here, so that tells me what's going on. Okay, so anyway, Oh dear, that would be very revealing. We're going to move his skirt up a little bit, seeing as I shortened his body. So we're gonna give him his little belt here, his little brick belt. We're gonna give it circles, shiny circles. And then we're gonna add a little belt fastening here. Do that. Where it's got the little thing, and have dots of how far it can close to. And we're gonna do that skirt deal. It looks like he has an armband on, so we'll draw that too. Let's get adventurous. Armbands are great. Great adventure involved in armbands. So we'll draw the cute little button. No, the cute little button would not go above his belt. We're gonna say this is the edge of his skirt. Goddamn stripies. And we're gonna have a cute little button here. So you can partially see it, like see the little button, because buttons are like boop, 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 boop. So we're gonna call that our button. And I would add the stitching on the side actually, like instead of like right down the crotch, because that really doesn't look good on anybody's clothes. Like a stitch line going right down the crotch. I mean, it just really doesn't look good. Now, if we were doing, excuse me, let me draw those on the wrong side. Now, if we were drawing like pants, like the fastening where the button goes, it goes kind of like this, and that circles underneath and around, I think. And so you'd have this line here where the crotch would end, depending, not on this body obviously, but and then underneath that flap would be the button and the zipper. So you wouldn't see the pant zipper usually on a pair of pants. I don't think. So we're going on to the body layer. We're gonna erase this. And I think what we're gonna do, gonna move this below. Oops, I moved it into the body layer. That was not intentional. Not intentional. Yeah. Then we're gonna merge. And then come on. Gonna have to merge. Then we're gonna take this out of here. I'm gonna merge those in the trash. And we're gonna take this up here, put this in the trash. So, as compared to the original drawing, here's the original drawing. Here's this original. Put the original on top. So, our end result looks like Inuyasha. He looks like Inuyasha. But I, of course, did not do perfectly. But that's how it would work. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope this helped, and I'm gonna stop recording. Thank you again for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this helped. And Invader Bugums signing off.